Welcome to this screencast. This screencast is about the visibility of content within the lab system. So, as you know, we have different elements within the lab system. So, let's have a look. So we have the L elements, the C elements, the M element, the A elements, and the P elements. And the schedules, and what is interesting to us is the visibility, especially of this one, and this one here. And yeah, I will tell you something about the visibility within the screencast. So labs are controlling the interactions with the authenticated users. So labs are always only visible when you're logged in. And now let's have a look at the user rights of a lab. So here you already see the checkboxes, and here you see the explanation. And when you go to the lab now, so let's check the feature demonstration. You can set here that the lab is visible. So here you always find the visibility. Is visible standalone or only when it's inside the collection itself, and when it's visible. So it's so now it's like visible before schedule, during schedule, and after schedule, because this is an element we want to be visible all the time, because we want to see it also without being logged in and everything. So this is why I set the rights like that. Okay, then when you have the lab, as you know, it consists of a pre-lab and possibly a lab, and so this lab now consists only of the pre-lab, and yeah, so actually I also linked it here already, because this is just a container for export-import. Okay, so this collection now consists of different elements and has different visibilities. So a lab is basically the same as a container, so as a C element. The only difference is that the lab has other properties, like it always has two containers as next level elements, and it checks up if questions are correct or not. So yeah, what we will do next is see how to set up the rights here so that something is visible, like when you're logged in, or from outside or from inside. This is the string of the elements within this collection. So you see all these elements are within the collection, and if some elements would not be visible, you could see a star here. So if this element is not visible at all, then everything will be stirred. So let's check that out. We'll make this not visible when we are not like an editor, as written here. And so when we log out, now we are not an editor, and you see now all elements are starred, so we cannot see them. And yeah, if we call now the C18, for instance, which is included here, as we'll see later, it has access rights that everyone... Oh no, this one is not visible to everyone, sorry. But the first one, the C21, I guess, I set this visible to everyone. Yeah, so here you see, okay, this is also visible to everyone without being logged in. So let's get in again. Okay. Good. Yeah, so yeah, let's make this visible again for everyone without being inside the collection. Okay, and this is now visible before, during, and after a schedule. So actually I didn't even put a schedule for this lab, so this means it's always visible. This makes sense to being able to set these rights also within a lab, because it could be that you want to show some information, for instance, only after the schedule is finished, like some solutions or parts or something. Or you want to show some information before the first schedule, other only during the schedule. So this is why you can also set for collections within a lab or within other collections these properties. If you don't set them, and you set it to this one here, then it will check, okay, am I in a collection, and only then this element will be visible. So it's some sort of inheritance mechanism to the parent element. Okay, so let's check this element again, and now let's go through the elements. So this one here, we've seen already, is always visible, which is what we want at the moment. And now let's go to the P element that is in there. And so with the P element, we see that it's visible only inside the collection. And so for this element it doesn't matter, so we'll set it like this, because then I'm more flexible in accessing the content from outside. And yeah, here you could set different rights. So you could set, for instance, that it's only visible when you're logged in. So I will show it to you with the top element here, because then it's easier to see. So we could go here and we could say like, okay, so this element should only be visible when we're logged in. And now, so we see now, okay, I changed the visibility of this element, and then when I will log out now, this will not be visible anymore. Okay, yeah, and as I told you, it's not visible anymore, because it's only visible when we're logged in. And if I enter the address, like in the top row, already now, P3, then you see, okay, we don't have enough rights, we have to log on to see the page. Okay. So let's get back. Let's make this element visible again for everyone. So there you see again, you have a fine granular control over all elements on the page, when they are visible and when they are not visible. Okay, so let's go down here. So authoring. Yeah, so the authoring could also be visible, and here we set again, so this is important when you want to have those visible. We set that it's visible before, during and after the schedule. If I remove those and save, so remember we are at 2 authoring, then I go here again, so 1, 2 authoring. So when I log out again, as it's not within a schedule, we'll see that okay, after 1 comes 3, so now it's not visible anymore. Okay, so let's get back in. Okay, yeah, so basically if you want to have something visible from outside, some collections, it's important to make them visible here and here. So if they are nested, then you can also set this, then they are only visible within their nesting. If you put this, you can directly link to them. And yeah, if we wanted to link to this one, for instance, now to the C18, we could just go here in the menu and say, okay, let's link to the C18. As you remember, the left part will be replaced by the title of the element. So now we have it here. Okay, and as we have HTML in, it doesn't make much sense to have it here now. So this was a little bad, but yeah, we could, for instance, put the P3 here. And yeah, if you do that, as I explained to you earlier, you could, with a menu podcast, you could also set some user rights here, like logged in, but for the elements where you can explicitly set the rights, this doesn't make sense. So for the link it makes sense, here you can put it, but here it doesn't make sense because you can arbitrate the rights already by setting them explicitly in the element. So I'll remove this again because I don't want it. And yeah, okay. So now we've already seen like most of the things we wanted to see. Yeah, if we go to a lab, well, then we see also the remaining 2 elements, namely the inputs here, and you see, okay, they have the same visibility options as the page elements. And here we said now, okay, you have to be logged in. But if you say you're only visible inside a collection and you link it only in a lab, then this is like implicitly set, because the lab will only be visible when you're logged in. But you could set other rights, like we have sometimes hints for correctors, and then you can just say, okay, the one being able to see this has to have corrector rights, otherwise you cannot see it. Okay, and yeah, the same applies for the multiple choice questions. where you can set the same rights here. Okay, and so what I wanted to show you is that you have a very fine granular possibility to set access rights within the lab system, and that you can also use it as a normal content management system to make content visible even for users not being logged in and controlling. Like if you log in, you see even more. Alright, so I hope you like the feature and enjoy the system.